Welcome back to Constantine's Soapbox. Today we actually have a really cool treat that I would like to share with you guys. Owlcat posted how they came up with their main theme for Wrath of the Righteous, and anyone who's been following me for a long time knows that I absolutely love the soundtrack for Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. And so I feel like this is something that I definitely would want to talk about, and I will talk about it. So they posted it on Facebook and on Steam. Um, and I'm gonna actually go ahead and read it out to you guys. So on Steam, it says the search for the main theme. Of all the elements that make up Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, music holds a special place. It is something that kindles the player's interest and sparks passionate discussion. That is true. The music itself, when I first turned it on, gave me chills. And some of the key moments in Wrath of the Righteous, the music is what really made it very memorable for me. So that statement's definitely true. Let's continue. We will have plenty of exciting development stories and never before seen content up our sleeve, so why don't you share some of it? Sergey Ebog, I apologize if I mispronounced your name, but I really appreciate what you've done. He's the lead audio engineer at Owlcat Games, and Dimitri also did a fantastic job composing the music. So let's get into the main part. Creating the main theme of Wrath of the Righteous wasn't easy and took them a very long time. They went through a number of iterations that were quite different from each other as they strove to align their ideas with the ones of the development team before finally settling on the version that we all know and love. I'm going to actually say it from their perspective instead of converting because it's taking a while for me to do this. We had a set of key criteria for the main theme. We were looking for a melody, right? That would be simple yet instantly memorable, and one that expressed our game's two primary motifs of fall and repentance, as embodied by Arulo Vorlesh, the mastermind behind the portal to the demonic abyss that devastated Socorus. The plan was to make the melody sound heroic and heightened to convey the scale of the conflict, which it did. It did heighten that heroic feel. Some of my favorite tracks is like Champion of the Abyss. When that first came, I was playing the game on core mode, so it was very difficult for me. And I was coming in with a Kingmaker mindset, which is not necessarily the best mindset going into Wrath of the Righteous. Not necessarily, at least for me, it wasn't. But when that theme came on, I felt heroic, especially when we won by the skin of our teeth. And I was also playing Last Azanti, so if I died, my save file would have been deleted. So after getting 3 hours, 10 hours, 100 hours in, every battle felt tense and stressful, but when you won, you felt heroic. So that's definitely true. I'm gonna continue. We knew we wanted to use an orchestra, a choir, and a solo female vocals. We didn't have a specific music reference that had all the qualities we had in mind, so we started searching for our own. Here's what the first version sounded like. So I'm gonna go ahead and play the clip, and y'all tell me what you think. I really liked it. I kind of wish there was a spot for them to put that track into the main game, you know. But I thought it was pretty good. I thought it really did make me feel like it was part of an adventure. It didn't scream Wrath of the Righteous that we know and love today, but I definitely liked that track. And I kind of see the seeds of what made up the main theme and the subsequent main motif for Wrath of the Righteous. So let's continue with their post. So it did a good job of capturing the spirit of adventure and heroism. The team found that this version overly lyrical and bright, which wasn't really fitting for the rather dark story we were going to tell. Yeah, that's true. It was it felt more high fantasy, you know. It felt um like it was just gonna do the standard beats, which Wrath of the Righteous took so many twists and turns. It did not it it did not seem like it was, hey, this is the Fifth Crusade and demons are ripping people apart. So I agree. It wasn't necessarily as dark as they wanted. We'll continue. So we headed to another direction, looking to add a greater sense of tragedy and gravity to the music. The next version had two intentionally distinct parts built around a single motif. The first was which represented Arilu, and the second, the crusade against the demons. So let's take a listen to this version. I'm gonna go ahead and hit play and let me know if it goes your end. So that one, I think they were able to get a lot closer to the goal that they were going for. It was definitely darker. Honestly, if that was the main theme, I would have been satisfied. I don't I personally don't think it's as good as the main theme that we have now, but I really liked it. So let's see what they said about it. This time we came closer to the mark. The music felt beautiful, powerful, and quite somber. But now we were faced with a different problem. Our listeners had a hard time taking in the transformation from a simple motif to a more complex, richer segment. Despite our best efforts, the theme did not feel cohesive. Excuse me. I don't know if I necessarily agree with it. Well, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I could see that. Some of the tracks that I really like, the official soundtrack, shared it with people who didn't play Wrath of the Righteous, and it seemed kind of noisy to them. So I can kind of see where they mean about the transition parts being a little bit complex and not being able to pick up the multi-layered story that they have. It's one thing to write something and you know all the lore about it, but when you give it to someone else, they don't know what you necessarily know. So they may not be able to pick up the themes that you're trying to convey. It probably seems obvious to me as the observer because I've played Wrath of the Righteous. I love Wrath of the Righteous. And so I can see the themes and I'm primed for it too, reading it. So yeah, they might actually have a really good point there, but I can't tell from my current position. Y'all let me know in the comments if you also felt the same way with their second draft. If you felt like it was hard to pick up the transitions. Either way, I thought it was beautiful. Um, and there might be some truth to what they said. Let's continue. As an experiment, we decided to make both parts of the track even more distinct from each other and replace the crusade in the second part with a depiction of the demonic forces of the abyss. In the end, this didn't help us solve the problems we had, but it did allow us to get closer to understanding the feel of the music that would play when the game was launched. Let's take a listen. Did I close it already? Yeah, I think I did. Copy it over. Guess I didn't catch that one in time. So, yeah, I really liked it. Um, I guess I'm probably gonna like almost all of them though. I don't really have a strong opinion. I think I like the second one a little bit more. Um, let's see. So they want to focus more on the demonic forces of the abyss. Did they capture that? Hmm. Yeah, and it felt more wholesome. It didn't feel like the individual motifs were conflicting, in my opinion. Oh, also, I apologize for showing my attempt to make a Unity game. That's a completely separate topic, but I'm doing this in one shot, so that's on me for not being properly prepared. So let's continue. Um, I gotta make one more adjustment real quick just to make sure the video is actually loaded. It's not. All right, there we go. So for the third part, they said that our creative team met once more to discuss the main theme and decided that even though our game was going to be dark, we wanted the title scene to invoke a different kind of emotion in the player. The music needed to be uplifting and heroic, adventurous in a duty calls kind of way, and embodying the spirit of unity. It had to be inspiring, and the closest thing we had to that was the crusade motif. So that's when we focus on our efforts. Putting aside the motifs of Arulo and the Abyss, our key references here were the main themes from the Elder Scrolls Morrowind and Crusader Kings 2. I think that's really cool that they referenced Morrowind. So Morrowind, if you didn't know, their theme, you can see the motif in Oblivion and in Skyrim. And one thing I've noticed about those soundtracks is that if you hear those tracks independently, you immediately say, yeah, that's Morrowind. Yeah, that's Skyrim. Yeah, that's Oblivion. It felt like they shared the same genetic makeup in terms of music. I'm not a lyrical expert in any way, but I like that they reference very famous franchises such as the Elder Scrolls and how they were able to let their music partially tell their story. It's part of their DNA. And then something I remember, I think it was Todd Howard, so Howard, correct me if I'm wrong, that said that they kind of start with their music and make their game based off the feels of that music. So I would agree that they did this with Wrath of the Righteous, although I've heard other popular YouTubers say otherwise. They're more experienced reviewing games, so they probably know something I don't. But I can kind of see where they were going at. Let's continue. The fourth version, despite meeting the criteria, still wasn't approved as the main theme. But the music itself was so good that we decided to use it for one of the in-game locations. You can now hear it at the war camp and in Dresden once it's under the player's control. This is actually one of my favorite themes. This track is called Those Who Stand Against Evil. It is actually one of my favorite tracks in this game. I wonder if it's a lot of people's one of a lot of people's tracks, to be honest. So now we're gonna get to the good part. How they finally decided on the so I think if you listen to that track again, you can hear a lot of the building blocks that would make up the rest of the soundtrack. That would make up the main theme. That would make up Champions of the Abyss, several of the different battle pieces, and it wasn't just one composer. I think there were two other ones that were on here, but yeah. So this is what they actually said. We decided against using this piece as the main theme because we still had some doubts about its catchiness, and the folk music elements took away somewhat from the heroic and elevated vibe that we wanted to hear in our track. For our fifth version, we focused on a simpler arrangement and a more logical and memorable melody for the choir and orchestra. The choir needed to perform a marching song about glorious feats. Our composer wrote the lyrics in Latin, which roughly translated as Hail, Hail Queen Galfrey. We fight and we will prevail. And this was the iteration that finally won the hearts of our team and became the final version. This one I do not have preloaded, so I'm going to actually copy the URL here. We're going to go ahead and put this. So that's the theme that we know and love. And honestly, I think it's fantastic. And part of the reason that I make sure that the main theme is played before every single playthrough is because I kind of wish more people heard. So, what are your thoughts about the journey about towards the current main theme that we have? Did you like some of the original drafts? Do you prefer earlier ones more so than the later ones? Let me know in the comments. And if you haven't, go and check out Owlcat's YouTube channel. Go and check out their game if you haven't played it. And give this developer some support because I think what they're doing there is beautiful. I'm going to read their last little tidbits and call this part of the stream over. And for those who want to continue with Sword State Constantine's playthrough, if it might be bugged, um, in a few minutes I'll start that. Again, this is Constantine's Soapbox. Thank you for subscribing. Now for the final statements. We hope you enjoyed the story behind the main theme of our game. In the future, we will be sharing more tidbits about other fan favorite tracks. Stay tuned. I will. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to rate up. Yeah, I thought that was amazing. Yeah, spread the word. I think more people should know about the stuff that they're doing. I kind of wish they were nominated for music in some of the game awards, but hey, I'm biased. I love the game. Again, it's Constantine Soapbox. Y'all stay fancy. Now I'm going to move on to playing Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous.